Hello everyone and welcome back to exercise number 46 of the SolidWorks basic tutorial series. In this video, we're going to be designing a rib mounting plate. As always, in designing this part within SolidWorks, we're going to be using many of the SolidWorks features, namely the extrude boss base feature and extrude cut feature. But also, if we're going to create these ribs here, you have two options. You can either use the extrude boss base tool, and then of course you're following the sketches that you create, or you could use the rib tool, and this is left up to you. Here we see the schematic drawing for exercise number 46. All dimensions are in millimeters. We have the top view, the section view, and the section view right here was taken along this vertical line, represented by, of course, the line of symmetry for the component, the y-axis. We have the isometric view and we have a trimetric view. Again, these are basically two different pictorial views for the components. So you can see all the necessary details. If you look at the drawing here, we see that we have a question that reads, what is the mass of this part in grams? And we're instructed to use a material of cast iron or glazed cast iron, whatever it is. And of course, we have a number of instructions here. They're pretty self-explanatory. You start by modeling the component according to the dimensions shown, assign the material, and then you determine the mass of the component. All right, and we have a note here at the bottom that says, unless stated, all the fillets have radius of 2 millimeters. Do we have a fillet here for this component? We do. We see that we have the intersection, the edges here between the wall here and the bottom surface. We see that we have a fillet. All right, so looking at the main features for the component here for this exercise number 46, we see that we have a base plate represented by a square region in addition to a tapered upper arm. We have three bosses. You have the upper boss, the intermediate boss, and the lower boss, in addition to the diagonal ribs here for the lower boss, and a central rib that runs along the center of the component, the central line or the line of symmetry for the component. And this rib connects the upper boss with the intermediate boss, in addition to this mounting region right here. Also, if we look closely here, we have a recess, we have an opening. So this is not a perfect solid, it's actually, it's a pocket, right? So if you're actually manufacturing this, you're going to have to use a milling machine to create these pockets here. All right. So yeah, that's basically all the necessary features for the components. It's a relatively simple practice problem within SolidWorks. All right, so with that aside, let's get started with exercise number 46. Okay, so let's start by creating a new SolidWorks part. Let's set the background to plain white, and let's copy exercise number 46 into SolidWorks. Let's go ahead and make this smaller. As I said previously, we are going to start by creating the 2D sketch here represented by the base plate for the component, all right? So to do that, let's start by selecting the top plane, sketch, let's drag this to the side, and we're going to sketch out this square region right here, right? So activate the center rectangle tool, and from the origin here, draw a rectangle. Select these two entities and set the relation as equal, and that will create a perfect square. Activate the Smart Dimension tool, and from the figure we see that this square region has a dimension of 200 millimeters, and this square symbol here represents, or basically is saying that the dimension of this side is equal to the dimension of this side. It's a perfect square. So this should be 200 millimeters. Okay, so now we're going to sketch the upper arm here, the tapered upper arm for the component. So to start, let's go ahead and activate the circle tool. And from this point, let's draw the circle. All right, activate the Smart Dimension tool, and we can see here that the diameter of this larger circular region is 56 millimeters. So this is 56 millimeters. The distance between the center of this circle and the center or the origin of the component is 150 plus 110 plus 130. Again, this is according to the image, which gives us an overall distance of 390 millimeters. So the distance from this point all the way to the origin should be 390 millimeters. All right, now activate the line tool, and from this circle all the way to this edge, just draw a line. Let's set the relation between the center of the circle and the origin as vertical. All right. Again, activate the line tool and connect this circle all the way to this edge right here, this point. Okay, so now we have the basic 2D profile for the components. Let's activate the trim tool and delete any extra entities that we don't need. Okay, so don't worry about the fact that, the entities turned blue here and that the sketch is underdefined. We've fully defined all the dimensions here. So we can very well proceed to the next step, which is to extrude the 2D sketch. So press S on your keyboard, extrude boss base. And if we look closely here at the section view, we see that from this point all right here, all the way to the bottom right here, all right, the thickness should be 35 millimeters. So go ahead and assign a thickness of 35 millimeters. And then click OK. All right, so now we're going to work on creating this lower boss here. So, actually before that, we're going to have to create the recess, the opening here, the pocket opening for the component. So let's go ahead and select this face, sketch, and let's select convert entities, right? And then select offset entities. Set the distance, the offset distance. If you look closely here, we have a wall thickness of 8 millimeters, all right? So this needs to be 8 millimeters. Select the sketch, reverse direction, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Then select OK. Okay, trim entities. Let's go ahead and delete this top arc here. Just draw a circle from this point all the way to right here. Trim entities and delete any extra entities right here in the middle, leaving behind the wall, 2D sketch of the wall right here. Now press the S key, extrude cut. Select this 2D region, and we're going to cut this 2D sketch to a depth of, if we look closely here, it should be right here. See, the thickness of the base right here is 8 millimeters, while the overall thickness is 35. So it should be 35 minus 8. So right click on your mouse, set the end position as blind, so it's 35 minus 8. And then select OK. Okay, so that creates the opening, the pocket for the component. Now let's go ahead and close off this square region right here. So go ahead and select this face, sketch, activate the line tool, and starting from this point all the way to the other point, let's draw a line. Select offset entities, and if we look closely here, we need to offset this line to a distance of 8 millimeters, and then select OK. So line tool again, close off a sketch, all right, S key, extrude boss base, set the end condition as up to surface, and let's go ahead and select this surface right here so that the walls are of the same height, and then select OK. All right, so very slowly the component is starting to take form. All right, so now let's work on creating this lower boss here at the bottom. So go ahead and select this face, sketch. Let's go ahead and draw a circle. Starting from the origin, of course, activate the Smart Dimension tool. And from the figure, we see that the diameter of this larger circular region should be 70 millimeters. So the diameter of this circle should be 70 millimeters. Press the S key, extrude boss base. And we can see here that the boss here, it should be extruded all the way to a height of 35 millimeters right here. Basically, the height, the surface right here corresponds to the surface of the wall for the component, right? So let's very well select up to surface and then select this surface right here. Then click OK. All right. I select this surface, sketch. We're going to create the hole now. Activate the circle tool from the origin, draw a circle, activate the Smart Dimension tool. And we see that the hole should have a diameter of 55 millimeters. So the diameter of this circle should be 55 millimeters. Right, now press the S key, extrude cut, right click on your mouse, up to next, and click OK. And that creates the lower boss for the component. And if you look closely here, we see that the upper boss here at the top has a cylinder protruding above the base thickness or the component, and there's a hole running along the circle right here, corresponding to the center of this point. So what are we going to do? We're going to select this face, sketch, activate the circle tool, and starting from this point right here, let's draw a circle all the way to the periphery. Press the S key, extrude boss base, and we're going to extrude this 2D sketch. Look closely here. The overall height for the upper boss should be 50 millimeters, while we have a base thickness already pre-existing base thickness of 35, right? So it should be 50 minus 35, right? Which gives us a thickness of 15, and then select OK. Now select this surface, sketch, we're going to create the hole, activate the circle tool, and starting from this point, we are going to draw a circle. Activate the Smart Dimension tool, and if you look closely here, we see that the upper boss has a diameter of, the hole actually has a diameter of 36 millimeters. So this is 36 millimeters. Once again, press the S key, extrude cut, set the end condition as up to next, so already set to that, and then click OK. Okay, so that creates the lower and upper boss for the component. Now, of course, we can see very clearly that we have an intermediate boss. We're going to create that right now, so go ahead and select this face, sketch, activate the circle tool, and starting from any point right here, let's just draw a circle. Set the relation between the center of this circle and the origin as vertical. All right, activate the Smart Dimension tool, and we can see here that the diameter for the intermediate boss should be 40 millimeters. So the diameter of this circle should be 40 millimeters. All right, and the distance between the center of this circle and the circle that we just created, or the intermediate boss, should be 150 millimeters. So activate the Smart Dimension tool. The distance between this circle and this circle should be 150 millimeters. Press the S key, extrude boss base, and we can see here very clearly that the overall height is 40, right? But we need to take into consideration here that we have a base thickness right here. The base plate is 8 millimeters, right? So it's 40 minus 8. 40 minus 8. Also, please notice that this thickness right here corresponds to the thickness of the rib here, the reinforced rib. All right. So then click OK. Now click this surface, sketch, activate the circle tool. From this point, let's draw a circle, activate the Smart Dimension tool. And you can see here that the diameter of the whole intermediate boss is 20 millimeters. So this should be 20 millimeters. Again, press the S key, extrude cut. We're using the extrude cut tool a lot in this video. I'm very sorry. Set the condition as up to next, and then click OK. All right, so that creates the upper, lower, and intermediate boss for the component. Okay, so now what's left is we have this region, this protruding region, the mounting region right here. Look at the isometric view. We see that we're going to have to create a 2D sketch and then extrude it all the way to the surface right here, the reinforced walls. So let's go ahead and select this surface, sketch, activate the line tool. At any point right here, let's draw the basic 2D profile for the 3D solid, okay? This point, let's go all the way back here, convert this to an arc, Control Z, activate the line tool right here. Okay, well, just 1 second. So you select 3-point arc. Line tool, and this close off the sketch right here. Set the relation between the center of this circle and the origin as vertical. You can press V on your keyboard. All right. Activate the Smart Dimension tool, and we can see here that the diameter of this circular region, outer circular region, should be 26 millimeters. So the radius right there should be 26 divided by 2. Gives us 13. Right? And the distance between the center of this circle and the center of this upper circle should be 130 millimeters. So the center between the distance from this point and this point is 150 or 130 millimeters. All right. Now the sketch is fully defined. Press the S key, extrude boss base, set the end condition as up to surface, and then select this surface. Click OK. We're going to create the hole, select this surface, sketch, activate the circle tool, and let's go ahead and draw a circle. Smart dimension, and we see that the hole here has a diameter of 12 millimeters. S key, extrude cut. Right click on your mouse, set to next, and fit. All right. Now what's left with the component is very simply we have to create the reinforced ribs. We have this diagonal rib here, or the radial rib, in addition to this central rib that runs along the center or the line of symmetry for the component. All right, so you can start with whatever you want. So I'm going to start with this central rib right here. So go ahead and select this face, sketch, and as a full disclosure here, I need to mention that you can actually create ribs either using the standard extrude boss base tool, or you can use the rib tool. I'm going to use the extrude boss base tool because it's more intuitive, and it's easier for me to use anyway. So let's go ahead and draw a circle, draw a line from this point all the way to this point right here. Draw another line. Select this circle and this arc as well as this region right here, and then select convert entities. All right. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the offset entities tool. If we look at the schematic diagram, we see that we have a rib with a thickness of 8 millimeters. We're going to set the condition as bidirectional and set the offset distance as 4 millimeters. So it's going to offset the line 4 millimeters on either way, on either side of the component. So select this line and this line right here, and then click OK. All right, so now just select extend entities, and we're going to extend these offset lines all the way to their circular profiles right here. Of course, this method is more tedious, but again, it's more intuitive, at least for beginners who are watching right now. Anyway, so now we need to activate the trim tool and delete any extra entities that we don't need. So let's go ahead and leaving behind, of course, the 2D sketch for the rib right here. All right. Click OK. Press the S key, extrude boss base, and set the end condition as blind. And if we look very closely here, we see that the rib for the component should have an extrusion height of 15 millimeters starting from the top surface of the base of the component, right? So let's go ahead and assign a extrusion thickness of 15 millimeters. Again, this is the case for the ribs, the diagonal ribs right here for the square region, or the central rib that runs along the central line of the component. All right, and then click OK. All right. So that creates the rib for the upper part of the component. Now let's go ahead and select this face, sketch. We're going to work on the diagonal ribs, convert entities. Let's activate the line tool, and starting from this corner all the way to the opposite corner, let's draw a line, basically a diagonal. Okay. Now go to offset entities, and if we look closely, the thickness of the ribs here should be 6 millimeters, and since we set it to bidirectional, half of it should be 3 millimeters, right? And then select this line and this line, and then click OK. Select this outer circle, convert entities. Now we just need to trim any extra entities that we don't need, right? So let's very carefully just delete any extra entities, leaving behind the 2D sketch we need for these diagonal ribs here. Again, it's a tedious process, but you can have fun. Okay, let's go ahead and delete these. All right. Look closely here. We need to extend. We don't need to extend actually. Okay, so activate the trim entities tool and delete these lines right here. Okay, so now we have the basic 2D profile for these diagonal ribs. Press the S key, extrude boss base, and we're going to extrude this to a thickness of 15 millimeters, and then click play. All right, so now that creates the diagonal ribs for the component. Are we done yet? No, we still have one more thing to do. If you look closely here, we see that we have fillets for certain edges of the components, basically, or namely the inner edges of the components. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to Features, Fillet, set the fillet radius to 2 millimeters. Again, this is according to the note we have here at the bottom. Unless stated, all fillets have a radius of 2 millimeters. So go ahead and assign a fillet radius of 2 millimeters. And then click on the surfaces that you want to fillet. Okay, you can see automatically all the necessary edges were selected when you select the surface. All right, and then click OK. Now this ends the modeling process, but now we need to assign a material. So right click on Material, Edit Material. The material that we're going to use is cast iron. So go down here, select iron, and then select gray cast iron. Apply, close. I don't like the color, of course, so you can change the appearance. Let's select this color and click OK. Okay, so now I think we're ready to determine the mass of the part. So go to Evaluate, Mass Properties, and we can see here that we have a final answer of 7,948.35 grams. The final answer is 7,948.35 grams. Basically, if you want to round things up, the component weighs about 8 kilograms. Delete the image. Set the view to perspective. Okay, so that concludes exercise number 46. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them down in the comment section below. Also, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I would really appreciate the support for the channel. Until we meet again, bye-bye.